Earlier on today then we had the war table for Marvel's Avengers, showing off the upcoming Hawkeye DLC. That'll be the future Imperfect. Now, being a massive Hawkeye fan, I was really hyped. You can actually watch a stream of me watching it live, and I did get really excited during it, but saying that, it was really a bit of a mixed bag for a few reasons. So in this video I'm going to run over the positives and the negatives of it as well. Now I'm going to run over the negatives quickly because I don't want to dwell on them, because again I'm a huge Hawkeye fan and I know there's some things to feel down about, but I love Hawkeye and I'm really excited to see Lucky and Hawkeye and so on, and some of the costumes as well. But we have to also acknowledge some of the issues as well. Now the biggest one by far, it's the date. It's over another month until it comes out. It's March the 18th. So what that actually means is when the game launched, that's going to be in 7 months. We've only had 2 heroes, which is just beyond disappointing. It really is. There was no mention of Wakanda at all. That was massively disappointing. I think they really need to show something for Wakanda and Black Panther to get people a bit more excited about the future. So the fact we didn't see anything about what happens after Future Imperfect, that was really a massively missed opportunity in my opinion. There was no other teases as well. There was no talk about cross-platform play or anything like that, unfortunately. We did see Taskmaster once again, which is just unbelievable that we will be facing him again potentially. I cannot believe that. And I do feel, just before we move in and we break down what I did enjoy in the trailer, I do feel that the next gen release that they showed off, it looks really nice, doesn't look really pretty shiny, but I feel this should have been held back until the Black Panther and Wakanda expansion, and it could be used as a soft relaunch for the game. Because what's going to happen is you'll have a lot of people coming back when the next gen version comes out to actually check out the game, but if the only difference since the last time they checked it out was Kate and Clint, I don't think that would be enough to actually keep them playing. So yeah, a couple of missteps without a doubt I think they have made with this war table. But as mentioned, I don't want to dwell on that too much because again, huge Hawkeye fan here, so let's actually jump in and check everything out. So what we'll cover anyway, we've got a look at some pretty nice skins for him. We've got a really good look at his abilities, and I really did fangirl out over a few of them because they're very similar to Marvel heroes and mega abilities. Check out some of the stages we'll potentially be fighting in. And then we'll have a little look at what's most definitely a confirmed boss fight. It was something that we thought would be a boss fight, but there's a small section within the trailer that confirms that it most definitely will be. So let's jump in and let's check all this out. So we'll start off here having a quick look at some of the footage we've seen of Lucky. I was mega hyped when I seen him first time in the trailer. It's awesome. He is going to be part of Clint's actual story, and you can see as well that it looks like you'll have an emote where Lucky teleports in, which is a little bit odd, and he teleports back out, but the fact you've got Lucky as an emote, that's really pretty great for me. Next up here we have a look at the abilities. We did see a fair amount of them. It was just a few seconds of each, so I'll put the gameplay on a loop while I'm talking about it. Before I talk about this one that's shown off, I'll just mention that within the war table it was mentioned that Clint will have access to 10 different arrow types in total, but what we're seeing here is pretty simple. It's something that all characters have. It's an evade move, so yeah, not much we can say about this one anyway. Is called Quick Draw Reflexes. The next ability we have here is Deadeye skill. The description they gave in game made it sound a bit like the razor arrows that Kate has. I hope that's not the case. With Clint being known for someone that never really misses, I'm hoping that it can be a move that if you hold it down and even if you're aiming in the general direction of an enemy, it will track onto them and then you won't miss. That would be pretty awesome, but time will tell how this actually works. We then have a quick showcase of his traversal abilities, so as many people expected, and I guessed it would be the case, very similar to what Black Widow's got. In this instance it's called grapple arrows. Black Widow's actually really pretty mobile, so to be honest I'm happy enough, as much as it's very similar to another character, that we've got this, and thematically it also makes sense as well. We then have an ability that's already been teased by the developers. It's the boomerang arrows. This comes specifically from the My Life as a Weapon run, so it's great to see these getting put in, and it really does what it says in the tin. You fire them out and then on their way back they'll hit different characters. It's a bit like Mauln Your Sight with 4, when you throw that out and then it comes back. So generally it won't do a lot of damage against single targets, but it's nice if you've got a corridor full of enemies just to fire it out, and on the way back it'll just completely destroy all of them. The next ability we have is one that looks very similar to the Singularity arrows on Kate. That's actually her assault heroic, but the difference here with these, it's implosion arrows. The difference is that later on in the video they talk about the different heroics, and this isn't one of them, so it looks like Hawkeye's got a mini version of that singularity arrow as part of his kit that you can use more often. It may, for example, be if you charge up a particular arrow, it can do this. So yeah, as an overlap what Kate can do, but if you can do it more often, I really like that because it's a pretty awesome ability. We have Tripwire Shot up next. Again, this is another ability the developers have already talked about, so a little bit similar to Kate's Scatter Shot. In this instance you fire out 3 arrows rather than 5 that Kate can do, and they're all connected by electricity, so I imagine they'll probably add the shock status effect on them. It talks about how they push back enemies. In the footage you can see it doesn't look like it really crowd controls them for too long, so I'm hoping that can be upgraded via perks so it can be quite effective. It would be awesome, for example, if you had a corridor with a ton of robots running down it and you could fire this down and just stop them from coming to you, and then your other characters could help just whittle them down from there. The next ability we have here is Rocket Arrows. So you fire an arrow, when it hits an enemy it causes them to fly back. Now it seems pretty simple, but if this works the same way to how Pym works on certain enemies, so if you think Hulk, for example, he can't pick up your larger exos, but if you shrink them he can pick them up. So if, for example, if what you could do with an exo is you could shrink it and then use this rocket arrow to knock it off an edge, and even do that on Abomination, then that could be pretty great. So fingers crossed that's how this will actually work. Pulsar arrows are up next. These look really disappointing. They actually just look like a reskin version of the explosive arrow, which I absolutely hate on Kate. So yeah, really not a fan of the look of these at all. We now move on to the heroics. This one is the assault heroics. It's called Nightstorm arrows. I really like the look of this. It's very similar actually to his signature attack in Marvel Heroes, and also the attack he does in the first Avengers movie. He fires out the arrow and a series of other arrows fly out from it, so I really like what they've done with this. We have the support heroic next. It's called Recovery Arrow. When I seen this in the trailer I got really excited, because if you played Marvel Heroes Omega you had a recovery healing style arrow as well, and it looked like this. It was a large orb that went over your characters and it would heal them, and what's great about it as well is it gives us more options for support characters. So when and if Cloning Labs eventually comes out, if you're looking for a healer character, then you've got the option of Miss Marvel or Clint, so that's absolutely awesome. We finish up the abilities here with the ultimate heroic. It's called Hunter's Arrow. So you fire this arrow out and it will just take out all the enemies that are on screen. It mentions various different upgrades where you can fire 2 of them at once. You can change it into an explosive style arrow, or one of them I wasn't entirely clear in the description on it, but I think it maybe changes it into more of a single target arrow, and I'm really hoping to do that. So if you want Clint to be a boss killer, he does have the option there. But that's all the abilities. Let's check out and see what we've got next. So earlier on in the video then I talked about a character that we were pretty certain would be a boss fight, but it had never been 100% confirmed if they would just be an NPC or be in the story. But you can see there was some gameplay footage of Clint and Avengers going up against Maestro, so it's 100% confirmed we will actually fight him. Just cross your fingers he doesn't actually play like going up against Abomination. So next up here we then had a very quick look at the future Imperfect campaign map. So you can see that the future wastelands are a completely new region. We did already know this, but you can see within this you've got 3 Hawkeye stories shown at the moment. I can't remember which the skull icon actually is, but the 2 yellow icons, I'm fairly certain they're actually boss fights, so it looks like there may be 4 boss fights in total. For a split second in the trailer we had this really was blink and you will miss it, but it's one of Hawkeye's campaign missions. So this particular one, it's just telling you to explore the echoes of a dark and distant future. Doesn't really give away much there, but you can see the 4 icons in the background for the 4 different boss fights. Finishing up this section then, we've got another mission. It's the UN funeral. So S.H.I.E.L.D. has located a fallen Kree excavation site in the future wastelands. The Avengers are tasked to investigate and extract any information about the Kree and their mechanical giants. So that's everything we're able to find out about the upcoming stages. Now next, let's have a look at some of the costumes. With the costumes then, of course we've already seen the classic look when they first revealed them, and then you've also got the Hawkeye look with the purple t-shirt on, but this particular one here got me really excited. This is from the Hawkeye Ultimates run. They have changed it about a little bit, but it still looked pretty awesome, this one. This next costume here, I've no idea what's going on in this. I'm hoping it's really not a reimagining of the classic costume. The mask just doesn't look right on it at all. The rest of the costume actually looks okay, and if it was maskless it would probably be decent, but Not a fan of this one at all. We then have the Ronin costume for anyone that's going to run a melee Hawkeye, then they've got this costume. Just fingers crossed they don't bring out lots of silly recolourings in the first instance before they bring out the classic colours for it. Not 100% convinced with how this one looks. I would have to actually see it in game, but the fact we are getting the Ronin costume, at least that is still pretty great. The final costume we have here is one that was actually spoiled in data mine an absolute age ago. It does look pretty different, but I think this could be potentially a start tech costume, and I actually kind of quite like it. I wouldn't like it if it was, for example, a reimagining of his classic costume, but if this was going to be start tech costume, then I would say that actually looks pretty great. So that is everything of interest that I was able to pick out in the actual trailer. I'll mention it once again. I know a lot of people are really disappointed about the date. I'm massively disappointed about the date as well. Massively disappointed we didn't see anything to do with Black Panther, but I really loved what we did see as Hawkeye. What I see as a massive shame is if the game was on track, this Hawkeye expansion was due to come out in November. Now, if the game had only been out for 2-3 months and this came out, it would be absolutely amazing. But the fact we've waited 7 months for this is what puts a big dampener on what actually looks to be a really awesome campaign. So yeah, as mentioned, really a bit of a mixed bag, but being a Hawkeye fan, I'm still definitely most excited. But let me know what you think about all this in the comments below, and thanks for tuning in, stay safe, and I'll see you all again soon.